Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. If you were to actually type in the word cow or Dalit or even Muslim right now into Google, a large number of stories would actually coming up. And these are the sort of stories that we found. Stories of Dalits being wrongly flogged in Gujarat by a cow protection group, Dalits being denied the right to worship in temples in Tamil Nadu, stories about Dalits protesting in Uttar Pradesh after objectionable remarks made about Mayawati, stories of two Muslim women who were beaten up in Mandsaur in Madhya Pradesh on the pretext of cow protection once again. A large number of these negative stories, and that's what's been making the headlines day after day, week after week. Only one positive story, actually. There was one positive story. IAS officer, and we have pictures of him right out there, an IAS officer who helped a Dalit widow to keep her job as a cook in a school in caste-conscious Bihar by eating food cooked by her, sitting alongside students as villagers watched, presumably in a state of shock and horror. So how is it that the narrative is again turned so negative when it comes to talking about Dalit rights and politicization? Is this actually politicization? All right, so what exactly is happening? Is there a wave of cow vigilantism taking place? Mobs of guys out there deciding to take the law into their own hands to try and protect the cow. Of course, one has to wonder why they only do it in this particular manner and not when cows are being treated in a number of other ways, some of which I will refer to a little later in this program. So is this really all about politics? We are heading again for elections. Uttar Pradesh is coming, other stuff is coming. So Dalit groups and Dalit parties, Mayawati, Bahujan Samaj Party, making full use of this occasion to try and push the BJP into a corner in Uttar Pradesh. And at the same time, the cow vigilantes, Bajrang Dal, whoever you like, also trying to use this particular occasion to score a lot of political brownie points. Is that it? Or is this age-old caste prejudices once again surfacing? Maybe they never really went away, but at least getting a lot more attention. That's what we're going to be debating out here and discussing out here, and a great panel with us to talk us through all aspects of this. Dr. Vivek Kumar is a professor of sociology at JNU, has been often very closely associated with many Dalit causes. Great to have you with us. Kuwan Bhartender Singh is a Lok Sabha MP from the Bharatiya Janata Party. We have with us Mr. Irfan Habib, one of the country's best known historians, and it's always a privilege, sir, to have you here with us. We have Rakesh Sinha, been known to be close to the RSS way of thinking, if I can put it that way, Rakesh. Shekhar Gupta, one of our senior most journalists, been closely analyzing and in trying to interpret what's happening. And Professor Aditya Mukherjee, who's a professor of contemporary Indian history at the Center for Historical Studies at JNU. Thank you all so much for being with us. So let me first start off by trying to ask you to help us understand what exactly is going on. Is this politicization because elections are coming? Possibility number one. Possibility number two, this is anti-Dalit and anti-Muslim sentiments that are there among certain fringe elements, and they are running amok right now. Possibility number three is that this is all just being hyped up, and actually this has always happened. It's the media's fault, and it's just being blown up out of proportion. So each one of you, which of the possibilities is it?
If you see that the atrocities on Dalits are a reality of Indian society, and I can quote you numbers, but the average data is 88 atrocities per day. This is my collation for 25 years from SC/ST Commission's data. So, 88 atrocities per day. Now, if this is the huge number and nobody speaks in the contemporary society as we are debating, now we saw that actually things happened in Gujarat, but it was not highlighted by the media first. It came on social sites. And then later on somebody took
So what exactly is it that you're saying now a little bit more?
No, but I'm saying that the assertion, you take Rohit Vemula case, nobody took it up unless and until there were some politician who went there. But I think those politicians did not make because they were discredited in their own way. Only when Mayawati raises this issue in Rajya Sabha that it catches the imagination of the Indian society and politics.
So there's anti-Dalit sentiment, and atrocities on Dalits are taking place in any case. The only question is the extent to which they're being highlighted. That's your view. If I can turn to you, what do you think is actually happening right now?
Well, I certainly agree with Professor that the poor people who've been traditionally kept poor by the social structures of our country have always got the rough end, you know. So, but it's not, as he said, these data belong to the last 25 years. The present government has been very strict. The Prime Minister has repeatedly said so and has come up with a lot of policies like Jan Dhan Yojana, which has done financial inclusion, like Ujjwala Yojana, Stand Up India with no interest loans for scheduled
those are all excellent.
SC/ST Act for speedier implementation of Dalit atrocities, and Skill India.
Prime Minister keeps saying my only focus is development. And yet at the same time, you seem to have a band of vigilantes with complete license to do whatever they want. We've seen it in Gujarat. We've seen this in Madhya Pradesh. We've seen this in Uttar Pradesh. We've seen this in the comments made by one of your MLAs in Uttar Pradesh. You sacked him subsequently. But there's obviously a large fringe element that is running around. Now, either it is with the tacit consent of somebody in the BJP, or you're not being able to control them. We haven't heard a strong condemnation of the guys who beat up those people in Una. We haven't seen a strong condemnation of whoever it was who beat up those two women in Mandsaur. We're not hearing that denouncement as strongly as perhaps we should.
What could be a stronger condemnation than Daya Shankar Singh his membership being terminated, his being banned from the party for the next 6 years?
But he is
You sacked him because if you hadn't, you'd have had a real problem in Uttar Pradesh. But I'm talking about the others.
No, but there's also a Congress party in Uttar Pradesh. Look at what has
a lot of stories saying, look at what the Congress is doing.
Allow me to finish.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
What has Bahujan Samaj Party done about their very own people, saying all types of things? 25,000 रुपए देंगे अगर उसका मुंह काला करें, 5 लाख रुपए देंगे अगर उसकी जबान.
Valid point actually. It's not that the Bahujan Samaj Party is known for its restraint and sensitivity.
If you see, you push people to a certain corner, how they are going to react?
The Bahujan Samaj Party cannot say that we are victimized, we're a victimized organization.
Why not?
Or institution.
Why not? Which is, the BJP comes to rescue the whole family, and you say that actually BSP is not pushed to the corner. A MP of Raj Sabha is being actually targeted, and FIR is being lodged. Without caring the privilege of a Raj Sabha member, you lodge FIR and you say there are not corner. Actually, and the person is giving interviews in newspapers. He is going to temples and not arrested in BJP ruled state.
Look, he made a comment. Actually, I want to get Shekhar in on this. Is the Bahujan Samaj Party being systematically victimized?
Well, I think on a larger plane, there's been a Trumpification of Indian politics. Everybody's using
and of the
abuse.
Indian media, I was about to add, but
well,
that may not
Indian
get
media
digressed.
is a joke, but that it doesn't count for that much. But like, the more entertaining you are, the more fun you are,
and the more
popular you are. So we are now the new Mahmoods and Johnny Walkers, right? At least you should
so
be
the
one of those
Trumpification of the Indian media has already happened. Now it's happening of Indian politics.
Let's keep the media out. But on this specific caste issue, I think what's happened is that while we have the best of laws and we have a most liberal constitution and most equal constitution, the upper castes, and I say this with great care, the upper castes have not in their hearts, the upper caste elites in particular, but all upper castes, and this is irrespective of what party they are in, have not embraced the Dalits and the tribals as equal citizens. And this, over the past 65 years, while it's been addressed through reservations and things, this completely fake narrative has been built up that because of this, non-meritorious people are being allowed to come in and take the place of us meritorious people. Now, merit was not racially mandated. So unless, and what's happened with the rise of BJP now is that because of the rise of Hindutva, a conservative form of Hindutva has risen, which believes in caste system.
So it's in a sense some sort of a safety valve has been opened, or it's been brought out into the open. Rakesh Sharma, would you agree with him?
Caste war and feudal war, there is a difference between the two. I think in the past there was a caste war. Now the feudal elements in the upper caste, I am talking the feudal elements in the upper caste, they are taking Dalits, their empowerment, their voice, their assertion, they are unlikely to be reconciled by them. This is the fact. But at the same time, we are not addressing the real problem. We address the problem when something happens in Una or in Lucknow. The real problem is that there are two kinds of things. One is political action and state action, that law and order. But other side that In between the two incidents, what are the social actions? Who are taking the social actions? You are talking about let me because let me give it 30 seconds. I am giving one example because he said that rise of Hindutva and conservative elements. RSS runs a Vidya Bharati schools. You know, there are 3,53,146 Dalit students, 11,703 Dalit teachers, 47,000 Muslim students, and more than 500 Muslim teachers. Among them, 300 are female Muslim
what
teachers.
do you teach them? What is the emancipatory agenda in your curriculum which you teach? Do you teach them again the same social hierarchical caste system?
Vivek ji, let me complete, then you contest me.
Fine.
Let me
So
contest.
he's sort of saying that those schools are
There are
brainwashing
certain
people, if
people.
I understand.
Yeah,
Vikram,
you reinforce casteism in them.
Schools and colleges are, if we are for the same agenda, I am telling one thing. There are 2 crore nomadic caste nomadic people in Maharashtra.
Yeah.
No political party, no ideology addressed except the RSS. We have the one organization, Bhatke Vimukh Vikas Parishad.
Okay,
We have
can I-
out of
You
Vikram, I'm
have
finishing.
converted them to
I'm
Hindu.
ending there. Out of 50 caste, we have approached 38 caste. They are not the voter. They are voiceless people.
Okay,
so
fine.
it is not the
I get
creating
it, I get
binary.
it, I get it.
There are certain people who create binary. It is their business to create Dalit, non-Dalit. We want to end the binary.
Okay.
No,
Is
I
there-
just want to add here that as far as Dalit empowerment goes, what could be bigger empowerment? I mean, I want to congratulate everybody here, everybody involved with the Indian democratic system, that the most populous and the most powerful state in the country, Uttar Pradesh, has had Mayawati 4 times chief minister. What could be a bigger Dalit empowerment? 3 times,
And it is because of
3
you.
times made chief minister.
because of you.
Yes, proudly so.
Come on,
Proudly so, 3 times made chief minister.
You threw her out
because
after
of
6 months
Allow
and
me,
ruled
allow
for
me.
whole 15 and 16 months.
Professor, allow
You
me.
had your chief minister,
Sir, this is
you
a
had your
political-
governor.
this is a
You
political
were
difference.
forcing
Politics.
power.
Political
Allow me
differences are
to
different
finish.
things.
I think there's a
We-
point.
I'm just
we-
saying Mayawati
we
is not
supported
necessarily
her.
a symbol. Mayawati is not necessarily the symbol of Dalit victimization.
I have a
She has been the
political-
chief
I
minister.
have-
She's a rather powerful
no,
individual.
No, but we
Since we
supported
are on
her to
Probably one of the
become
most
chief
powerful
minister.
individuals in Indian
We
politics.
we are on
supported her to
politics,
become
Vikram.
chief
Now,
minister 3 times.
Infanta, can I just come to you? I want to just understand again at what's happening. We've heard do you think caste discrimination, and for that matter, anti-Muslim sentiments, as we have seen in certain places as a result of this cow vigilantism, it always happened, but people are feeling empowered to come out and do something about it. They feel there'll be no consequences. Is that what's happening now?
Exactly. You see, what Bhartenduji just pointed out, all the schemes, etc., there is no disagreement. Everybody knows that these are all very positive steps which have been taken by the Prime Minister, no doubt about it. But there is a huge section of Indian population today which is, as you said, feeling empowered. Now, that particular section seems to be not in control of anyone. Who is going to control them?
Okay.
Because they are directly linked with the so-called Sangh Parivar, as they call it. Now, if it is convenient, you call them Parivar. If you are not very convenient with them, you say they don't belong to us.
Okay, so let me Rakesh, hang on. Let me
just
take that forward. Because I think what he's saying, touches a certain point that I think it's about time that the government also does address. If you take a look at what's happening, he's right. There are great development schemes that the government is doing. There's actually a fair amount of economic reform that the government has been able to push. From all accounts on the ground, corruption has gone down. A lot of other good things are happening. But you can call it the fringe. You can call it 5%, 10%, 15%. Call it whatever you want. But there is no doubt that they are coming out right now.
It's no more fringe. It's center stage.
They've
It
become,
used to be
I was about to
fringe.
say that. The
Yeah,
fringe
because
seems to have come to the
This
center
fringe
stage
word is irrelevant today.
in a manner that they haven't in a long, long time.
Let me answer.
And that's dangerous.
No,
Do you
let me
think it's
answer that.
happening, and if so, is it dangerous?
I am not setting my eyes to realities. Just say.
Do you agree that the fringe is becoming more prominent?
These are the microaggressions. There is a difference between microaggression and organized ideological aggression. There is no ideological thing behind that. And in every society at every time, take the United States, take the Britain, there is aggression against the Muslim, but these are the microaggression. The main thing is the social philosophy of a state. I have Sarfaraz Hussain studying in RSS school and a topper in Assam. So we believe in that Dalit, Muslim, Hindus. It is a cultural nationalism that is important.
It is never going to be about what the majority is necessarily feeling. And I 100% agree with you. India, in a general terms, is always going to be a moderate, tolerant country. That's what 1.1 billion or 1.2 billion, I don't know the exact numbers we can argue about, of the people will always feel. But the question is always going to be a handful of people, you could say whether they're 1%, 5%, 10%, who will be doing things wrong, and you have to find a way of changing it. By the way, we were having exactly the same debate when it came to terrorism, and many members of the Islamic community would point out that the total number of Muslims who would turn to terror would also be 1%, 5%, 10%, not more than that.
It's not even 1%.
It's not even that probably.
Tell me one incident.
So in any case, it is always the fringe which does it, and you have to find a way of dealing with it. That's what.
Tell me one. They have been dealt with. Immediately within 24 hours, they've been arrested. They've been put to book. They've been arrested. They've been put behind bars.
There are only 14 which have been actually.
Tell me, Vikram, one incident.
There were 36.
If you want to criminalize the incident,
the law
that is doing disservice to the nation. I say not any exception where the action has not been taken by the state. An organization has nothing to do with these fringe elements. In Gujarat, I am telling you, for the first time, a special court was set up, designated court was set up. People were arrested.
In this case.
In this case.
And but there have been,
look me.
1190 cases.
Vivek
you are talking 1190 cases and you are talking about one case.
No, I am also telling that. In Gujarat, scheduled caste literacy rate is 79% in 2001 census, and general literacy rate is 69%. So there is empowerment of Dalits.
How do you define?
You
can read words, they can sit and read the words. This is the data. What are you giving?
Our interest is not 21st century. Because
in 21st century, when you are talking about computer literacy, you are talking their literacy.
We believe in the negative identity. We believe in the oneness of the people.
It is not the negative identity, it is the ideological mindset which I want to talk. And ideological mindset, Congress can claim that they were better rulers because they had, Dalit speaker, they had Dalit home minister, they had Dalit actually.
What happened to Dalits? No, common Dalit.
But what about common Dalit? You do not have even one single minister.
You want symbolism and tokenism.
This is you have empowerment and justice minister.
Give me 10 seconds, I have to respond. Right. Because this is the fight of the opportunities of the Dalit elites. They are not interested in the
opportunity.
No, they are not. Vivek Kumar is not interested in the empowerment of the common Dalit. He is interested in his empowerment. So Dalits are objective. They are object.
No entity.
Don't treat Dalits as an objective.
Okay. I think Dalits are as entitled to have their own elites in politics, in corporate world, in the media, as any other community. I think frankly, it's supercilious to say we are giving Dalits equality. Why do they want to be elites like us? Let us be elites. Lord Manu did not write in a book that only certain castes will be the elites. That is the basic psychological block.
And to say,
I have two Dalit ministers, 20+% of this country, 8% tribals. Can any country leave 28-30% of its people behind and say
and if you add the Muslims to that, that's another 13%. Well, so I mean, talking about 40-43%.
Let's talk about this right now, because then you say that then your country is working at a 28% handicap, right?
Okay.
Aditya, are you then saying that 28% make my back office? While because we are born smart.
10 seconds. Vikram, 10 seconds respond. Nobody says that Dalit elites should not be there. And he has mentioned certain schemes, which is creating Dalit entrepreneurs. It's a question of that being elite. You are serving the cause of the common Dalit, or you are just using them as objects. My objection is, kindly don't use Dalit common people as objects for politics.
You are using it. That's what I want to say. You are celebrating Ambedkar.
I am against that.
You are celebrating Ambedkar.
Yes, I am celebrating Ambedkar. What's wrong? Ambedkar is not a property of someone, intellectual property, right?
It is, but
it is society's property.
Fine. I agree with
Gandhi, Ambedkar, Patels are of everyone. You celebrate Dr. Hedgewar, I will welcome.
We are proud that we are the government that gave Ambedkar the Bharat Ratna.
This is what is the feudalism.
No, this is not a feudalism.
This
is
not
feudalism.
This is not feudalism.
This is assertion. This is inclusion.
No, the government. That means you have an inclusion tendency. You have a
government
patronizing
chooses
tendency.
everybody not
As
to
a feudal
recognize.
lord, you would say, I
He
will give.
says that is
I will give. Who are you to give?
Don't monopolize the
If he
politics.
doesn't deserve, then why did you give him?
Don't monopolize Ambedkar.
Come on.
Baba
I will.
Sahab
I
is
will.
Baba Sahab belongs
Because
to
I am
all.
afraid that you will misuse it. Therefore, I want
Oh,
to
who will
monopolize
certify?
Ambedkar.
Who is misusing for last
You
30
will
years?
misuse it. Therefore, I want to
Last
monopolize
60 years,
Ambedkar.
It's
last
actually
60
tough for anybody to
years.
monopolize national figures.
Rakesh, I want to, let just hear for a moment. I have no problem in using Ambedkar, Gandhi, etc., which they are using
We are
so
not
profusely.
using it. Don't use the
using.
term using.
It's a use. It's a use.
No,
It's a political use. Very blatant
you
one.
are adopting.
This is
It's a very
a
blatant one.
derogatory term
Just
for Dr. Ambedkar. This is a derogatory term for any great
Precisely.
man.
I agree with you.
We
Okay, they've
internalize.
embraced him, fine.
Embrace
Not
him.
embrace.
Okay,
We-
okay.
We
But
just,
what-
we just
but
take
The
him
long
as
view
a
of
personal
honor
figure.
has been
They're
now
correcting the wrongs of
treating
history.
him as a-
They're
I'm
correcting the wrongs of
trying to
history.
say something else.
Of
I'm
Nehruvian
saying,
history.
why did you not do this 2 years before? Where was Gandhi before
Oh, I'm
that? Where was
telling you.
Ambedkar
No,
before that?
I'm giving you.
Nobody
In
talked about him,
RSS.
at least in their circles.
In
We
RSS,
never heard.
in
We are
RSS,
digressing.
in
Why did you
RSS,
realize it so late in
I know
life?
we are digressing.
RSS, just RSS, which attracts most scornful reaction from the people, from the liberal intolerant.
pseudo-nationalists.
No, not pseudo. I don't.
Pseudo what?
No,
We are not
pseudo liberals.
Pseudo-liberals.
Because
Pseudo-nationalists call us
they
pseudo-liberals.
kept RSS
Repository of
unrepresented
nationalism.
in any debate and discussion for last 30, 40 years because BJP in power, so RSS is required in the debate. Otherwise, it's such a huge
I've been
organization.
calling you for debates for years. What are you
No,
saying?
for years means BJP has emerged after 90s and before 90s RSS was outside the debate. We were just listening
Before
to the debate.
90s, there were no debates. There was no private news channel. What were they going to call you on?
I am talking.
Doordarshan was going to call the RSS and saying, come and sit in Krishi Darshan.
Sir, I am talking.
And besides, ask Doordarshan why they didn't call you. What can I do?
Sir, I am talking about the media. That is the I am giving
The
one
electronic
example.
media only came into being in the
I am giving-
1990s, sir.
we
We
are
are getting distracted completely. So I want to come back to you on the main point. Can I just ask you this? Is this deliberate polarization?
I do think that this is deliberate polarization. And when you said who's the victim, whether the BSP was the victim, I think the victim at the moment is the idea of India. It's the way India has been over time, inclusive, changing over time. From the medieval period, there were these bhakti movements, there were Sufi movements which were trying to integrate various religions, various caste movements have occurred in this country. And what we are now witnessing is a reversal. Altogether a reversal of polarization, of narrow cowbelt identity, which must apply to the rest of the country in exactly the manner, attacking people who talk of 300 Ramayanas, remove it. This whole diversity, the celebration of the diversity of which India is made of, is being questioned. Talk of RSS textbooks, talk of inclusion when you talk of the middle class, for example, that when you say that great development schemes, what they have done is destroyed the poor Dalits. All the programs which actually benefited the Dalits, Manrega, shut down. Money reduced. That's where
increased.
let me finish. The
Which
right to
newspaper you have read,
education.
sir? This which newspaper? Which source of information? CPM's newspaper?
Well, you know, you
No,
you
sir,
obviously.
this is wrong. In public
it is-
audience,
it
you are
is
saying
absolutely
Manrega has
not.
been stopped. Manrega, Shekhar Gupta is saying
Funds
that
in
Manrega, highest outlay.
have been drying up.
Who's dying?
No.
Well, obviously we read different
Highest
data.
ever allocation. Highest ever usage and
Okay,
highest
Manrega
ever
perhaps are the best example. You could come up
Vikram,
with that. Shekhar pointed out the
Soviet
allocation.
newspaper's name was
It was
Parvada.
not necessarily running as efficiently as it could,
Vikram,
but
it
that's
wasn't so
separate.
good
No, in
before
fact, it's
before
much more
before the
efficient
government
than
came to
Exactly.
power.
Aadhaar.
It's improved.
But
So
programs
this is the left
which were
propaganda
trying to
against the
reach.
ideology and government.
You
This
see,
is the
what
left
we are
propaganda.
witnessing, now we are talking of 25 years of the reforms, for example. What we are witnessing in the recent past is actually the poor being left out altogether.
Yeah,
in this inequality increasing on a massive scale.
That's okay.
And
Slightly
so
separate
I
question.
don't think anybody is really looking for the poor. So it is polarization trying to capture the votes of this section or the other. And therefore, it is correct to say then an attempt to appropriate Ambedkar, attempt to appropriate Gandhiji, people who this viewpoint actually murdered. You know, so there is a clear attempt to
can I just
appropriate
ask you-
and establish this narrow point of view as the national point of view.